Ethiopia, the nation of fairness, the symbol of freedom, the origin of mankind. Ethiopia Today is the English-language news channel which brings the latest from Ethiopia, mainly focusing on economy, digitalization, culture, history, tourism.
While this nation has been tested by geopolitical and proxy wars, and all manners of external and internal challenges including the impacts of COVID-19 and the desert locust epidemic, we are more optimistic about the future of Ethiopia than ever before.
Thanks for stopping by. I'm Brooke from Ethiopia Today. Our news today. Ethiopia seeks IMF deal as talks begin to revamp older debt. Ethiopia's Chinese-built industrial park generates $114 million revenue from export of face masks. The UK's special envoy has been briefed on current situation in Ethiopia. Ukraine to sign air services agreement with Ethiopia. Sudan's Sovereign Council chairman says army has no intention to seize power. The news in details. Ethiopia seeks IMF deal as talks begin to revamp older debt. Ethiopia asked the International Monetary Fund for a new deal, days after France and China co-chaired the first meeting of the nation's major creditors panel to rework the nation's previous debt. Setting up a creditors panel and an agreement on how to deal with Ethiopia's nearly $30 billion of external debt paves the way for the IMF to determine how to engage with the country on economic recovery. The lender's executive board has yet to approve disbursements from the Extended Credit Facility and Extended Fund Facility, the former of which has expired, despite reaching staff-level agreements. The government requested a new IMF credit arrangement, potentially with a similar amount, to replace the one that just lapsed, State Minister for Finance Yebeteseb told reporters on Wednesday in the capital, Addis Ababa. A new ECF will grant Ethiopia access to concessional resources under a poverty reduction and growth program, he said. The IMF board in December 2019 approved an equivalent of $2.9 billion for Ethiopia's two credit arrangements. On Thursday, the Washington-based lender said it was too soon to engage with Ethiopia over any possible new program. The formation of an Ethiopian creditors panel marks a breakthrough in a global push to restructure the debt of poor countries hit hard by the coronavirus pandemic under the Group of 20's Common Framework. It could also set a roadmap for the role of private creditors on the same. The panel may propose that commercial lenders push their payment due dates by 1 or 2 years, Ebs said later in an interview. The creditors committee will reach an agreement on some parameters on how to deal with comparable debt treatment, Ebs said. The sense we got is that there was no strong opinion on this, so we're hopeful in getting the required amount of debt being restructured without market disruption. Ethiopia's announcement on January 29 that it plans to restructure its debt triggered a sell-off of its $1 billion of Eurobonds. The yield on the 2024 debt has since risen, and traded at a record high of 11.75% by 11:07 a.m. in London. Ethiopia's economic pain, following the hit from the pandemic, was exacerbated by a civil war in its northern Tigray region, which has depleted government finances. Ethiopia, along with at least 2 other African nations, Chad and Zambia, have approached creditors for debt relief under the G20 program that aims to rework the debt for countries at risk of defaulting amid the fallout from the virus. China's inclusion as the co-chair of the creditor committee is key, according to Mark Boland, a senior credit analyst at Red Intelligence. It strengthens the likelihood that reprofiling of debt service to bilateral creditors will need to be reciprocated by commercial creditors, for instance through a consent solicitation with Eurobond holders to delay coupon payments, Boland said. Ethiopia's Chinese-built industrial park generates $114 million revenue from export of face masks. Ethiopia's flagship Chinese-built Hausa industrial park on Tuesday announced $114 million revenue from the export of face masks to the international market. The reported revenue was generated from the export of face masks mainly to the US and European markets during the recently concluded Ethiopian fiscal year, state-run Ethiopian news agency, ENA, quoted Fitsum Ketema, general manager of Hossa Industrial Park, as saying, "Despite the hardships created by the COVID-19 pandemic, companies operating inside the premises of the industrial park were able to mitigate the economic impact of the pandemic through the production and export of high-quality face masks and related products," according to the general manager. Hossa Industrial Park, which the Ethiopian government considers as a model for the construction of other industrial zones across the country, has proved successful immediately after its inauguration in July 2016 by attracting various world-class textile and apparel companies to the East African country. The industrial park was built by China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, CSEC. The Ethiopian government has previously disclosed its plan to generate close to $1 billion in annual revenue from the park once it starts operations at its full potential. As part of its efforts to make the country a light manufacturing hub and lower middle-income economy by 2025, the East African country hopes its plan to build and commission a total of 30 industrial parks within the same period. Ministry briefs UK's Special Envoy on current situation in Ethiopia. State Minister of Finance, Dr. Yebeteseb met with UK's Special Envoy for Famine Prevention and Humanitarian Affairs, Nick Dyer. The meeting focused on updating the Special Envoy on humanitarian and economic issues in Ethiopia as highlighted on Walter and Media Communication Corporate. The envoy reiterated the two countries' long-standing partnership and affirmed the UK government's commitment to continue to assist the government of Ethiopia in addressing the humanitarian situation in the north including Afar, Amhara, and Tigray regions. State Minister Yasmin Woabrebi also updated the envoy on the work of the National Emergency Coordination Center to improve access to humanitarian services in the north as well as the required support from and close coordination with humanitarian partners. Ukraine to sign air services agreement with Ethiopia. The government of Ethiopia is to sign an intergovernmental agreement on air traffic with the Ukraine. The draft for the agreement submitted by Boris Kolesnikov, Vice Premier and Infrastructure Minister, was approved by the Ukrainian cabinet this week, said a press release from the Infrastructure Ministry of the Ukraine. The agreement will be the foundation for regular air links between Ethiopia and the Ukraine, explained the press release. It is expected that the agreement reached between the two nations will regulate the procedure for international flights between Ethiopia and Ukraine as well as establishing a system of selecting airlines and setting terms for the issue and withdrawal of airline licensing for regular air service between the two countries. Mutual recognition of documents carried by airline crew, aviation safety and system to inspect the conformity of airlines to International Civil Aviation Organization standards were also a part of the agreement reached. Sudan's Sovereign Council chairman says army has no intention to seize power. Chairman of Sudan's Sovereign Council Abdel Fattah al-Burhan on Wednesday denied any intention for the Sudanese army to seize power, following a foiled coup attempt carried out by armed forces officers on Tuesday, according to the report on the independent Uganda. The Sudanese armed forces were the ones who foiled the coup attempt. "We are convinced with the democratic transition and we have no intention of seizing the power," said al-Burhan in a speech at al-Markiyat military camp, north of the capital Khartoum. "We are working to establish a civil and democratic state to be chosen by the people through free and fair elections," he noted. Al-Burhan, meanwhile, lashed out at the Sudanese political forces, saying that there is not any political force that speaks about the elections or the end of the transitional period. The political force's concern is to hold on chairs. On Tuesday, the Sudanese authorities announced foiling a coup attempt carried out by a group of armed forces officers from the remnants of the former regime.
May God bless Ethiopia and its people. Thanks for your time, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation. Please give us a like and share this to others. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you will be notified as soon as we upload new videos. And also feel completely free to comment. Thanks again.